This is part two. Um, I'm a little, obviously, still a little buzzed because obviously it's part two. Um, we left off. Jamie slept with old girl, big girl, tall girl, and obviously there's character moments. There's a lot of character moments. So that's why we got it to part two, and I didn't want to go over, so I can post it on Instagram. Um, Another thing is that you got the conversation between Dany and Jon Snow. Basically, him telling her over and over again, like, I don't want the Iron Throne. I just want you. They start to make out. She's stopping. He's stopping. It's your call. What do you want to say? But basically, they stop. And they just say that they, he's like, I love you. This should be enough. It doesn't matter where, my family is. I'm with you. You just have to believe in me. And her idea is that, as soon as people know this is going to go out of your hands, no matter what you want, if you don't want the Iron Throne, people will want you to be on their throne, and no one will ever treat me the way that they treat you. They love you. They so wholeheartedly. I've seen that look before. I've seen it in my own people. You can't honestly say that this is something that will not affect our lives. You have to keep this secret to yourself. And he's like, I have to tell my family, which honestly makes perfect sense. His family should know. Her whole thing is, your sister hates me. She's not going to just let it go. She's going to keep it up. And let's be real, she does. In the episode, she tells Tyrion about the situation because, they go through a thing where they go and ask, what should we do? Sansa says, our forces have fought enough and we need time to regroup. And she's like, no, we're going to keep moving. And she's like, no, this isn't what we knew. Jon is trying to push everything aside and just be like, they're doing what they're doing. We promised this. This is what happened. I bend the knee for this particular thing. We're going to find Cersei. And she's like, this is what's happening. I tell everybody what to do. This is what's going to happen. And Sansa's like, what the fuck? Arya's like, what the fuck? What the fuck is this bitch talking about? They go to Weirwood. You would remember Weirwood because obviously the Night King died there. And basically have their personal Stark conversation, basically like asking, what the fuck are you on, Jon? This shit ain't right. And he's like, I have something to tell you. They obviously tell them what's going on. Well, he personally doesn't. Bran does because he's the Third Raven, and they believe him wholeheartedly. And basically, she's like, as she watches the everyone leave to fight Cersei, Jon tells old dude for the Wildlings, keep my wolf. So obviously we're never going to see that wolf again, for obviously budget reasons, which makes sense because those wolves don't exist in real life. When they did, it wasn't anytime soon. So it's not like we can just grab an endangered species to play this role, or somebody hold them. And so it's a problem where she then, watching the dragons leave, she's talking to Tyrion, who she respects, who obviously he's the hand of the queen. He respects her deeply, and because they were married, he has an understanding with her. She previously, from the previous episode, said that he was the best marriage. He never touched her, he never disrespected her. And so she, understanding that this information is loaded because of all the things she learned from Littlefinger, his ignorant ass, R.E.P. I know people have been messing with me. R.E.P. is R.I.P. everybody. And she tells the truth. Remember, this is an hour and a half storyline. So we're not even at the halfway point. Well, we are at the halfway point, but we're not at the last 30 minutes. She tells them, they have a conversation when they get to King's Landing, which before then, they 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 try to fly in, walk in. King's Landing is not that far away. Well, not King's Landing, but her family home is not that far away from King's Landing, obviously. So they get ambushed by old dude in his ships. They kill a dragon, so she's one dragon left, and they take Melisandre. We're gonna speak about that, and before the time's out, and they have a conversation, Tyrion and old dude, and they ask, "Is she right?" Old dude is saying, "You know what? I've done this before. I see what I see what a tyrant looks like." And Tyrion's like, "No, no, 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 no. She can do better. She can do better." He's like, "No, no, no, no. It starts this way. It ends this way. This is how it works." And I understand what Tyrion's saying. You can't just lump her in with every other tyrant. You've got to give her the benefit of the doubt. I understand that. But anybody would know that she's making decisions on passion and not on analytical things. And yes, it's very hard to do that. But, you know, when you're thinking about people's lives, innocent lives at that, you have to make decisions based on what's best for them, not what makes you happy. And that's what a good leader does. Obviously, Dragon dies. She's in her feelings. Melisandre dies after he pleads with her hand, Cersei's hand, and they basically go through a moment. The dead Hound's dead brother kills Melisandre, cuts off her head. Grey Worm turns to the side, like, "Oh shit, I can't deal with this." She's like, "Oh fuck that bitch." Cersei, and it's one of those things where she can't handle it. And she's like, "I'm mad as fuck. We're gonna do what we're gonna do." We're gonna switch back to Winterfell, and they have just found out that the dragons died. Jaime wants to ride out to see his sister, and obviously he's still in love with her. He tells old girl, like, "I have to go." She's like, "Please stay with me. I love you. Why are you leaving? You can't save your sister. She's done too much." And he's like, "I'm an awful person. I've done so many awful things for what does it mean for another awful thing to leave you at this point? I'm not worthy of your love. I'm not worthy of anyone's love but her, because of who I am and what I've done for her." And it's understandable, because obviously he's done so much. The only thing I could say is, try to get the last bits about it, is that the story ends with what if. What do you do when a queen has done too much? Obviously Jon Snow is coming up, and it's asking the question, what do you do when the queen is not good enough? Both these queens are really not good enough. So it's up to Jon Snow to make the decision. What do I do in this situation? Episode 5, the second to last episode of Game of Thrones, before we obviously get the prequel next year, which I will hopefully review. What do we do when we have no good options? How do we deal with this situation? And I will just leave it with this. Drink your drink and enjoy this review.